The next time you're talking with a woman, you won't have to wonder if she's secretly attracted to you. Her body language will reveal her feelings if you know what to look for. Most guys miss these cues, spending hours with a woman only to leave with a frustrating question. Does she actually want me, or am I just imagining things? This uncertainty can be maddening, and it's even worse when you realize you might have missed your chance without ever knowing it. The truth is, women rarely say, "I'm into you" directly. They might be too proud, worried about seeming too eager, or they simply want you to be perceptive enough to figure it out. But this doesn't mean their feelings are completely concealed. Their subconscious actions, body language, and the way they speak can be far more revealing than anything they say. In this video, I'll teach you 10 definite signs that she desires you, even if she won't confess it. This is not just typical dating advice. The signals we'll cover are so subtle that you'll begin to notice them even when she's trying hard to hide her attraction. Once you can interpret these cues, you'll be able to recognize when she feels a genuine connection with you, and it will fundamentally change your interactions with women. Let's start with the first sign. Her eyes. It's often said that eyes reveal the soul, but when it comes to attraction, they also reveal a woman's deepest desires. A woman's eyes can be the loudest secret she'll never speak. While you can easily fake a smile or a laugh, you can't fake the way your eyes brighten, dilate, or fix on someone you're attracted to. When a woman is feeling desire for you but trying to hide it, her eyes will give her away. You'll find she holds your gaze for just a bit longer than a normal conversation requires. She's not just observing you. She's looking into you. This subtle, lingering eye contact is her subconscious trying to connect without words. For example, take Ethan, 29, having coffee with his friend Jessica, 27. Their chat is casual, touching on work and weekend plans. But whenever Ethan looks up from his cup, Jessica is already watching him. Instead of quickly looking away, she holds his gaze, as if she's visually exploring him. This is not the brief, polite glance you would share with a coworker. This gaze is much slower, more intense, and filled with a deeper meaning. If you look closely, you might notice subtle shifts. Her gaze is slow, heavy, and full of intention. With close attention, you might see tiny changes in her face. Her pupils may widen slightly, a smirk might appear at the corner of her mouth, and her face might soften compared to when you first met. These reactions are her body responding to you on a primal level. Another signal to watch for is scanning. Rather than maintaining a direct gaze, her eyes might move from your eyes to your lips, then perhaps your chest or shoulders before returning to your face. This visual journey shows her mind is moving ahead of the conversation, imagining what would be like to be physically closer to you. A common question guys ask is, what if she's just being friendly? It's a valid point, which is why context is essential. Eye contact on its own isn't definitive proof. But when it's combined with other signs, like a different tone of voice, subtle fidgeting, or efforts to be physically near you, it becomes part of a much larger story. In our culture, especially in the U.S., women often avoid direct verbal flirtation. They use their eyes to gauge your awareness, to see if you can understand the signals without them having to say anything. If you don't pick up on the cue, the opportunity is lost, and she'll mentally classify you as someone who doesn't get it. This is a common mistake most men make. They either overanalyze the eye contact or simply ignore it. The right move is to acknowledge it calmly. Hold her gaze for a brief moment and offer a small, confident smile. You're signaling to her, "I see you, I understand." This approach fits a Stoic mindset. As Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In this situation, substitute ears with eyes. The ability to observe without rushing and demonstrates patience, control, and awareness that is rare. So, the next time you're with her, watch her eyes with genuine presence, not in an unblinking, unsettling way. While her words may be casual, her gaze could be saying the exact opposite. Before we continue, leave a comment with, "I notice everything." It's a short phrase, but it speaks to a man who is observant and self-assured. And if you believe her eyes are revealing, just wait until you discover the next sign. The second sign is her voice, which can become a whisper of desire. When a voice loses volume, its meaning often intensifies. A woman lowering her voice creates an entirely different mood between you. It's not simply a change in sound, but a shift in energy. We instinctively lower our voices during private or intimate moments. This makes the other person lean in, reducing the space between you and focusing their attention on every word. When a woman feels a powerful attraction but wants to keep it private, her voice will become softer, slower, and captivate your attention. This can happen mid-conversation, as she shifts from a normal tone to a softer one, as if sharing a secret just for you. Her words will be more fluid, her pace will slow, and she may draw out certain phrases. Regardless of whether she's asking about your plans or making a casual comment, the way she delivers it becomes a true message. This change happens because her nervous system is reacting to your presence. When attraction is high, a combination of adrenaline and oxytocin affects her body. Lowering her voice is not just an instinct. It's a way to test the waters and see if you will meet her energy. It draws you closer, without her having to risk a direct physical move. Context is a key detail to observe. If you're in a crowd and she suddenly lowers her voice only when she speaks to you, it's not a coincidence. She is creating a private space within a public one. When she also leans in slightly, the combination of her proximity and tone becomes magnetic. The Stoic philosophy provides an unexpected insight here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In these moments, her words may be innocent, but the softness, depth, and tone of her voice reveal her true feelings. You are listening not just to her words, but to the emotional state behind them. Many men fall into a trap here by overanalyzing. They hear a softer tone and immediately think she's trying to seduce them. This causes them to push too hard, breaking the flow and turning a potential spark into nothing. A disciplined man notices, appreciates, and mirrors her actions without being too eager. Don't rush forward. Instead, match your pace. Respond with subtle change in your own tone and let the tension build naturally. This restraint is powerful. By not rushing, you communicate that you are not desperate and that you can handle desire without being controlled by it. This self-control makes you even more desirable. Consider a time when a person's voice was so captivating that you barely heard the words they were saying. That is the effect she is trying to achieve, to make you focus on the feeling rather than the content. If you are perceptive, you'll recognize this as an invitation to read between the lines. The real skill is to respond without disrupting the unspoken exchange. You might lean in slightly or respond in a tone that mirrors hers, slow and deliberate. This creates a shared, intimate space where she feels more comfortable letting her guard down. Before we move to the next sign, type "I hear more than words" in the comments. This short statement indicates that you are a man who doesn't just listen, but truly understands. If her voice can be this revealing, wait until you see what her body language can do next. The third sign is when her personal space disappears. We all learn a basic unspoken rule about personal space. Everyone has a bubble, and entering it means you're either intimately close or challenging a boundary. But when a woman feels a physical and emotional attraction to you, that personal bubble doesn't just shrink, it can vanish completely. Imagine you're at a small social gathering, with soft music and groups of people talking. You're leaning against the kitchen counter, and you feel someone step into your space. Not just beside you, but so close that you can feel the heat from her arm. This is not an accident or because there was nowhere else for her to stand. It's an intentional choice to cross her usual comfort zone. Women are highly aware of how close they are to others. For most, standing within arm's length of a man without a clear reason is a deliberate decision. When a woman is attracted to you, she will erase the polite distance between you in subtle ways. She might stand shoulder to shoulder, brush past you so her body lingers a moment too long, or lean in while talking even in a quiet room. To make this more tangible, consider Ryan, 28, a marketer. He's at a company happy hour talking to a coworker when Emily, 26, joins them. The space between them gradually shrinks until they are standing hip to hip. Emily isn't constantly touching him, but every time someone moves in a group, she adjusts to stay right by his side. Ryan notices she could easily step back, but she doesn't. That's the sign. Psychologically, this is linked to comfort and desire. When someone feels a magnetic pull towards you, they subconsciously want to occupy your space. It's not just a physical act. It's about creating an exclusive two-person world. But there's a deeper layer to this. Sometimes this invasion of space is also a test. She's observing how you react when she closes the gap. Do you get tense? Do you move away? Or do you match your closeness? A confident man will remain calm and hold his ground, which shows that her presence is welcome. Epictetus said, "It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." In this context, your interpretation determines the outcome. You could choose to ignore it thinking, "She's just standing here. It's no big deal," and miss the signal entirely. Or you could recognize it as a quiet invitation and respond in a way that deepens a connection without being awkward. The key is to mirror her closeness without being smothering. If she steps in close, you can subtly turn your body toward hers or lower your voice to make the proximity feel natural. You don't have to initiate physical contact. The closeness itself becomes a form of touch. This closeness can also grow gradually throughout a conversation. You might start a few feet apart, but by the end, you're almost brushing shoulders every few seconds. This is how you know her usual comfort zone has been replaced by your presence. It's important to remember that women rarely do this with people they are indifferent to. If she's choosing to eliminate the space between you, she's making a statement, even if she would never say out loud. By paying attention to these small shifts, you begin to recognize attraction long before any words are spoken. And the man who notices this but doesn't rush becomes infinitely more intriguing. Stand your ground, stay composed, and let her closeness do the talking. The next sign is her hands, which can speak volumes. You can learn a lot about a person without them saying a word. And with women, their hands often reveal the story long before their lips do. The way she moves them, their position, and her gestures form a silent language of attraction that most men completely miss. The next sign is her hands, which can speak volumes. You can learn a lot about a person without them saying a word. And with women, their hands often reveal the story long before their lips do. The way she moves them, their position, and her gestures form a silent language of attraction that most men completely miss. When she's attracted to you, her hands stop serving only practical functions. Instead, they become expressive, revealing emotions she may not be ready to admit. Sometimes this is subtle fidgeting, not the nervous kind, but slow, intentional movements. For example, she might trace the rim of her glass, twist a strand of hair, or lightly run her fingertips along a table as you talk. These actions are not necessary. They are her way of redirecting energy from her thoughts to her hands because she is feeling something. At other times, her hands might be more open. She may use them more when she speaks, occasionally showing her palms to you as a sign of openness. She might place them near yours, brush your arm, or even adjust something on your shirt. Then there's self-touch, such as running a hand along her neck, adjusting a necklace, or smoothing her dress. Psychologists call these auto-contact behaviors, which often increase when a woman is highly aware of a man's presence. This is partly a self-soothing action, but also a subconscious way to draw your attention to her body. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius said, "Observe what is before you." The point is not to overanalyze every single movement, but to notice patterns. A single gesture might mean nothing, but when you see these actions consistently, it's a sign. One of the clearest signals is mirroring. If she places her hand a certain way, and a moment later she does something similar without realizing it, that's unconscious alignment. That's connection. Our hands are directly connected to our nervous system. When someone is calm and indifferent, their hands remain still. But when there's excitement, attraction, or anticipation, their hands become more active. This is an outlet for that energy. Sometimes, she will use her hands to test you, like brushing lint from your shoulder, let her fingers linger when she hands you something, or touching your forearm while laughing. These are not accidents. She is assessing your reaction. Most men make the mistake of either overreacting or completely ignoring these gestures. The correct response is subtle acknowledgement. If she touches your arm, meet her eyes for a moment. If her hand is close to yours, let it stay there. Share that space without rushing. As Seneca said, We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Don't overthink her touch, whether it means too much or too little. Stay grounded, read the signals, and let her comfort with touch develop naturally. Her hands can be shy, bold, playful, or deliberate, but they rarely lie. If you learn to read them, you'll see her attraction grow before a single word is spoken. The next sign is her breath, which can reveal a primal chemistry. Her breath can tell you almost everything you need to know about the connection between you. It's not just about her breathing heavily, but about how her breathing changes when you are near, if it syncs with yours, and the subtle ways it reveals her excitement. The next sign isn't just another subtle signal. It's one that not only reveals her interest, but can also flip the power dynamic in your favor. Attraction isn't just about touch, eye contact, or words. It's also about something more primal. Her breath can reveal everything you need to know about the chemistry between you. It's not about how heavily she breathes, but how her breathing changes when you are near, whether it syncs with yours, and the subtle ways it reveals her excitement. Picture this. Jake, 29, is at a quiet wine bar with Emily, 27. They've been friends, but tonight, the energy is different. As Jake leans in to say something, Emily laughs and her breath hitches for a moment. She takes a quick breath, then exhales slowly, almost savoring the moment. Jake notices this slight change and knows there's a tension between them that isn't just friendly. Physiologically, a woman's breathing often changes when she's attracted to someone. It may become shallower and quicker when she's excited, or slower and deeper when she's comfortable and connected. Sometimes, her breathing will unconsciously mirror yours. This mirroring is a subconscious bonding mechanism, her body's way of aligning with yours. You might also notice her breath suddenly stop after you say or do something. This isn't because she's uncomfortable, but because she's anticipating something. This is often paired with other cues like dilated pupils, slightly parted lips, or leaning closer. All these signals together paint a clearer picture than a single gesture could on its own. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply this idea here, but to your senses, not just the words. Listen with your senses. Pay attention to her breathing patterns because they often speak louder than her voice. This doesn't mean you should creepily stare at her chest to count breaths. It means you should notice the shifts in her rhythm when the moment changes. Sometimes, her breath itself becomes part of the interaction. If you're close enough to feel it, such as leaning in at a concert, you might notice her breathing get warmer, quicker, or more deliberate. The space between you shrinks, and the air becomes charged. That is chemistry in its purest form. Jake didn't rush the moment with Emily. Instead, he matched her pace, slowed his own breathing, and spoke softly, creating a shared rhythm that built tension naturally. By the end of the night, their breathing was in sync without them even realizing it. That is the power of awareness. You can turn something as simple as breathing into a subtle, powerful connection. Of course, not every change in breath is a sign of attraction. Context matters. Maybe she just walked up a flight of stairs, or she's nervous for a different reason. That's why you should never rely on a single cue. But when her breathing changes in response to your presence, words, or touch, you know it's part of her attraction. So, next time you are with her, be observant. If her breath quickens when you lean in, if she holds it for a moment after a teasing comment, or if she unconsciously mirrors your breathing, it is not a coincidence. It is a connection. Let me know in the comments with "I feel the spark" if you have ever noticed a sign and knew what it meant. And don't go anywhere, because the next sign is even harder for her to hide. It's a sign that most men miss, but completely changes the game when you notice it. Number 6. Subtle touches that speak volumes. Sometimes attraction doesn't announce itself with grand gestures. It slips in quietly, almost invisibly, through the smallest, most fleeting touches. These touches happen so quickly and casually that you might wonder if they meant anything at all. But here's the truth. When a woman feels an attraction to you, her body will find ways to bridge the physical gap without her saying a word. This could be her hand briefly touching your forearm as she makes a point, her knee brushing against yours under a table, or her fingertips lingering for a moment too long when she gives you something. These moments may seem insignificant alone, but they can hold more weight than hours of conversation. Touch is a primal language that goes beyond logic and speaks directly to emotion. A Stoic might remind you of Marcus Aurelius's words, "Observe how ephemeral and worthless human things are." Here, this doesn't mean you should dismiss the value of touch, but that you should understand its subtlety. These small gestures are fleeting. They happen and then they're gone. If you're too distracted or overthinking, you'll miss them entirely. The key is to be present. Notice the touch, but don't overreact. Acknowledge the signal, but stay composed. This composure gives you control of the dynamic. Psychologically, light, seemingly accidental touches can trigger the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. In both of you, it's her way of testing your reaction without risking outright rejection. If you respond positively, but not desperately, perhaps by maintaining eye contact, offering a subtle smile, or lightly touching her back later on, it can deepen the connection without breaking the unspoken tension. The location of the touch is an important detail. A quick tap on the shoulder is not the same as her fingers grazing your lower back as she walks by. The more personal the area of the touch, the more revealing the gesture. Context also plays a huge role. In a crowded area, a touch might just be practical. But if you're somewhere with plenty of space and she still finds a reason to make contact, it's intentional. Here's the paradox. Most men don't even notice these touches. Your job isn't to pounce on the opportunity, but to acknowledge it internally. Stay calm and let the moment breathe. If you try to force the pace, you'll eliminate the very tension that makes these gestures so powerful. The most magnetic interactions are built on restraint, not immediate satisfaction. Think of a musician who uses silence between notes. That silence makes the next sound more impactful. The lack of an immediate reaction from you can make her want to touch you again, just to see how you respond. This is the beauty of the dance. You allow her curiosity to work for you. If she continues to find excuses to touch you in situations where it's not necessary, it's no longer subtle. It's deliberate. At this point, she's telling you exactly what she's thinking, even if she won't say it out loud. So the next time you feel a light touch from her hand or the warmth of her fingers on your arm, don't dismiss it as nothing. These moments are her way of saying more than she's willing to put into words. If you've ever noticed this and felt an electric shift, comment with, "I can feel it." Stay right here, because the next sign I'm about to reveal is even more powerful. It's the kind of thing that can make your pulse race before you even understand what's happening. Number 7, the lip language of desire. Sometimes, the most telling signals are not in her words, but in how she uses her lips. The most telling signals are often in her lips, not her words. Women frequently show attraction through small, intentional actions with their mouths, and most men completely miss them. This could be a slow bite of her lower lip as she holds your gaze, a subtle trace of her tongue over her lips, or a pause in the middle of a conversation to moisten them. These gestures may seem unconscious, but they often have a clear meaning. She is thinking about something more than just the conversation. Consider Jake, 29, sitting across from a co-worker at an after-work gathering. As they laughed, he noticed her gently running her tongue along the corner of her mouth while maintaining eye contact. He didn't make a bold move. Instead, he simply leaned in slightly, lowered his voice, and kept the tension going. Later, she admitted she had been testing him to see if he would pick up on her signals without getting flustered. The beauty of this lip language is that it combines sensuality with plausible deniability. In other words, she can signal interest while appearing innocent. For instance, Melissa, 26, on a coffee date, played with her cup's rim and lightly bit her lip while glancing at her date. He noticed, gave a subtle smile, and continued the conversation with a calm demeanor. Her small action didn't require a verbal response. His awareness and confidence said more. From a psychological standpoint, these lip movements draw your attention to one of the most intimate and expressive parts of the body. Humans are naturally wired to notice mouths. These gestures often mimic behaviors associated with intimacy, which makes them incredibly magnetic. A Stoic might describe it this way: the body speaks its own truth even when the tongue is silent. In this situation, her lips become a silent messenger of her desire. The common mistake guys make is either missing the signal entirely or reacting too obviously. If you stare at her mouth as if you've just discovered it, you'll break the natural flow and make things awkward. The correct move is subtle acknowledgement, a faint smile, a steady gaze, or a slight lean forward. This lets her know you've noticed without making it awkward. This maintains attention and encourages her to continue. Also, pay attention to the timing. If her lip gestures happen right after you say something flirty or during a more personal part of conversation, they are more likely to be intentional. If they occur repeatedly, it's not a habit, it's a signal. These lip gestures often appear with other signals like a leaning body, a lowered voice, or a change in breathing. Spotting these combinations is how you go from guessing to knowing. If you ever caught this signal and felt the unspoken pull, comment with, "I see the sign." The next signal is even more magnetic and impossible for her to hide. It's a sign that can completely change how you read her body language. The next signal is fidgeting, a sign of nervous attraction. There's a distinct energy in the air when someone is attracted to you, but trying to keep it a secret. Fidgeting is one of the clearest physical giveaways. This is not about anxious, uncomfortable fidgeting, but rather the way she plays with her hair, adjusts her necklace unnecessarily, taps her fingers on a glass, or shifts in her seat. On the surface, it might seem random, but under the lens of human behavior, it's a quiet flare signaling that your presence is affecting her. Fidgeting is an involuntary response to heightened emotional or physiological arousal. When a woman is attracted to you, her body may not remain still because her mind is processing multiple things at once: excitement, curiosity, and a desire to make a good impression. This is why you'll see her toying with nearby objects, stirring her drink, folding a napkin, or touching her own arm. These movements are her way of managing her internal energy. Her small movements are a visible reflection of her internal state. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Fidgeting can also be a form of self-soothing, similar to how someone might rub their hands together when they're cold. She's balancing the adrenaline rush of being in your presence. While you might think she's nervous and not interested, the opposite is often true. If she were indifferent, her body would likely be calm and her movements minimal. The mistake many men make is drawing attention to the fidgeting by asking, "Why are you so nervous?" This can instantly make her self-conscious and break the moment. The better approach is to simply observe and match her energy in a grounded way. When you remain calm and steady, it creates a powerful contrast that can actually increase her attraction. You should also watch for fidgeting that escalates in sync with moment of connection, like after a shared laugh or a compliment. These are not random coincidences. They are micro-expressions of excitement. In some cases, she may turn her fidgeting into something more sensual, such as slowly tracing the rim of her glass, arranging her hair in a specific way, or sliding a bracelet up and down her wrist. These are subtle combinations of nervous energy and flirtation that draw your eyes to certain parts of her body. Noticing fidgeting gives you an advantage in reading the situation without her having to admit her feelings. You're engaging in a deeper level of communication, one that happens through unspoken signals and words. If you ever spotted this kind of nervous attraction and it changed how you handle the interaction, comment with, "I read the signs." The next signal we'll discuss is one she can't hide, even if she wanted to. It's written all over her face when the tension is at its peak. Number 9, blushing and the red-tinted confession. Blushing is a primal reaction that is impossible to fake. When a woman's cheeks flush in your presence, her body is betraying her in the most honest way. She can't talk her way into it or think her way out of it. It's a silent confession that her emotions have spiked, whether from attraction, a little embarrassment, or a combination of both. Consider this scenario. Daniel, 29, is at a coffee shop with Emily, 27. They've been friends for a while, but he's noticed a recent shift in her behavior. As they joke about an inside story, he notices it. Her cheeks suddenly flush. Her eyes dart away for a moment, and a nervous smile appears. Emily isn't embarrassed by the story. She is reacting to him. That pink tint on her face is more revealing than anything she has said all day. Physiologically, blushing is caused by a rush of blood to the capillaries under the skin, triggered by the sympathetic nervous system. But in the context of attraction, it is more than just biology. It's vulnerability made visible. She is literally wearing her feelings on her face, and she knows you can see it. That's why blushing is often accompanied by other subtle tells, like biting her lip or a soft laugh. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In a way, her blushing is an acceptance of that temporary loss of composure. She is allowing her body to speak when her words are guarded. This unplanned surrender is beautiful because it's not calculated. Context is important here. If she blushes after you give her a genuine compliment, it's a clear acknowledgement of how your words affect her. If it happens during playful teasing, it's a mix of excitement and the thrill of being caught off guard. In more intimate settings, that red tint can signal that her mind is heading in the direction you're hoping for. The danger lies in handling this moment poorly. If you say something clumsy like, "Wow, you're really blushing," you risk making her feel self-conscious. The best approach is to acknowledge it subtly, perhaps by holding eye contact for a moment longer or giving a knowing smile. This intensifies the tension instead of breaking it. Daniel did this with Emily. He didn't mention her blush. He just leaned back, kept his voice calm, and let the air between them grow thick with tension. This simple choice made her feel even more seen and kept the spark alive. You cannot force a blush, but you can create the right conditions for it. Playful banter, genuine compliments, and holding eye contact long enough to make her feel like you see more than she is saying can create these conditions. When it happens, don't overplay it. Let her feel it and let it speak for itself. If you ever caught that red-tinted confession and knew exactly what it meant, comment with, "I saw the truth." The next sign goes beyond what the eyes can see, into a type of tension you can feel in your bones. The next sign is genuine laughter, a different kind from a polite chuckle. This laughter comes from deep inside and can't be stopped, leaving her a little breathless. When a woman laughs this way around you, it's not just because your words were funny. It's because of the person who said them. Her laughter is about the emotional release, comfort, and connection she feels in your presence. In many ways, this kind of laughter is a sign of surrender. It means she has dropped her guard and let you in past the point of casual conversation. It's a raw, unfiltered joy that can't be forced or faked. In the language of attraction, this is incredibly revealing. Genuine laughter is a mirror of trust, intimacy, and a deep undercurrent of desire. She could hear the same joke from someone else and only give a smirk. But when you say it, with the right timing, eye contact, and chemistry, it lands differently. She laughs harder because it is tied to how you make her feel. This is why the Stoic philosophy reminds us, as Marcus Aurelius said, that the soul is dyed with the color of its thoughts. If her laughter is richer around you, it's because you've colored her thoughts in a way that excites her. She associates you with that spark, and that emotional connection is much more powerful than any pickup line. Picture Jack, 31, and Natalie, 28, sitting in a park on a Sunday afternoon. Their conversation moves from serious to ridiculous topics. Jack makes a silly offhand comment, not even a real joke, but Natalie bursts into uncontrollable laughter. She leans into him, covers her mouth, and tries to compose herself, her eyes shining. Jack's comment wasn't objectively hilarious, but the way he said it, combined with the comfortable bubble they were in, made it a moment that felt uniquely theirs. When a woman laughs this way, she's not just reacting, she's bonding. Her laughter becomes a bridge that draws her deeper into an emotional connection without either of you having to acknowledge it. It's a shared emotional fingerprint that makes the connection feel exclusive. You can't get this kind of laughter by trying too hard to be funny. Forcing jokes or trying to get a reaction will only keep a conversation on a superficial level. Laughter that transcends humor is about resonance, not performance. Once you recognize this, you'll instantly see the difference. A polite laugh is transactional. A genuine laugh is magnetic. When she laughs like this, she's telling you without words that she feels safe enough to let go, to be herself, and to share her unguarded joy with you. If you've experienced a moment where her laughter was about the connection and not the joke, drop a comment with, "I felt the spark." If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. We lead and grow together. We don't chase. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Once you recognize this, you'll instantly see the difference. A polite laugh is transactional. A genuine laugh is magnetic. When she laughs like this, she's telling you without words that she feels safe enough to let go, to be herself, and to share her unguarded joy with you. If you've experienced that kind of moment where her laughter wasn't just about the joke, but about the connection, drop in the comments with, "I felt the spark." If this video sparked something in you, don't forget,